Hello, my name is Mark Craig, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build a personalized chatbot with ChatGPT. Here's a list of what's needed. First, you're going to need to download an IDE or integrated development environment. I'll be using Visual Studio Code, but if you have another that you prefer, that would also work. We're going to be downloading Python because that's the programming language we're going to be using. Also, we're going to set up an account with OpenAI. You may already have one, so that we can get an API key to use. And then also, I'm going to be providing all of the code for this in a text file so that you can copy and paste it into Visual Studio Code. So I went ahead and I'm searching for Visual Studio Code in Google, and the first thing that pops up is their website. So I'm go ahead and go into here, and what I want to do is download this for Windows, but if you have Mac or Linux, you can also download that. So I've already downloaded it. So I have this message that pops up, but you may need to go ahead and run through the downloading process. And if you have any questions about that, you can look up a YouTube video on how to get through the installation process. So next, you're going to want to download Python, which is the programming language that we're going to use in Visual Studio Code. So you just go Google search Python. First one will come up will be their official website. I'll just go to downloads, and you have some options here for Windows, Linux, Mac, and just go ahead and download it. I've already done that. Next, you're going to want to get your OpenAI API key. So to do that, just go to openai.com. And if you don't have an account, you're going to need to sign up. And when you sign up, you're going to have for 90 days, you should have free access to the OpenAI API functionality that we're going to be using. And if for some reason, if you don't, if you've already run through your 90 days and you no longer have access to that functionality, you could do a couple things. You could sign up with a different email address, and that would give you another 90 days of the API functionality, or you could just pay for the functionality, and if you go on there, log in, and it'll explain how they charge, and it's based off of searches that you do. So it's really cheap. I put $5 into my account, and I've been using this for the last week, and I think I've only gone through like 1 cent. So if you were to just open up an account and put $1 in there, it would be more than enough for this assignment. So we're going to go ahead and log in, and you're going to have a few options here, but what we want is this API to view API keys. So here are the API keys. As you can see, I've generated 2 API keys already, but you'll probably need to create a new API key. So you can just have it create a key. You can copy it here if you're ready to use it. And you're going to need to put this key, to copy and paste it into the ChatGPT. You're going to need to copy and paste this key into your Python code. So next, you're going to want to open up Visual Studio Code. If it's your first time using it, you may have to run through some settings, but you're going to want to get to this section, and we want to go ahead and search for the extension Python. Okay, so now you see that mine says uninstall. That's because I've already installed it. So yours will probably say install. So go ahead and click that and install Python into Visual Studio Code. Once in Visual Studio Code, you're going to want to start like a new Python file. So what you can do is make sure you've clicked here on your projects, and you can right click new file, and you can name this whatever you want, but I'll just put the chatbot, and it needs to end in .py or .py. So it's faded out because it doesn't have any code. And then you're going to need to go over to your to the WordPad document that I provided to get the code needed for this. And just to take a look at this code, this is where you're going to need to enter in your ChatGPT API. And here is where you have your prompt. And also down here in red is the title of the application. So these are the things that you can change out to make your app like a different kind of app. So, like I mentioned, this is going to be a personal trainer app that only answers questions that pertain to nutrition, exercise, and well-being. But if you wanted to create a completely different app, you would just change out, the title of the app, my personal trainer. If you wanted to, I don't know, give relationship advice, you could change that to something that had to do with relationship advice, and then change this prompt out to be you can only respond to questions about relationship advice instead of this, and then also change out the same thing here, which is just the topics that you want them to stay on. So we're going to copy this. And then we're going to go back into Visual Studio Code and we're going to paste it in there. Now you notice that this says enter your ChatGPT API here. That is where you're going to want to copy and paste that API that we got from OpenAI's website. So we go back to OpenAI's website, select API, up here to your personal account, and I would select View API Keys, and these are the API keys that you have. So let's just create a secret key, copy the key. Now we want to go back to Visual Studio Visual Studio Code, and we're going to paste. And we want to paste that API key in between these quotations here. And we are just about done. So what I want to do now is save. And I'm just going to close out of Visual Studio Code and then open it back up, and it should be back at this screen right here. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I had some issues when I was running this, and it seemed to just kind of resolve the issue by just restarting Visual Studio Code. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Now I went ahead and restarted it, and it's starting to load up now. If you look into the terminal. So now I want to go ahead and run the Python file. And as you see, it's given us a local URL and then a public URL. We want to go ahead and get this public URL. And then another note, this link, it's only going to be valid for 72 hours. If you go to this huggingface.co/spaces, you can probably pay some extra money and have this link last longer. Or you could just come back in here and run this Python code, and it'll be good for another 72 hours. So we're going to highlight, and I just hold down control and click. I want to go ahead and open. And as you can see, it opened up to our web application. So the title is My Personal Trainer. Ask me any question about nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So on this left side, we'll go ahead and ask it some questions. So how many calories in a tomato? And it says there are approximately 22 calories in a medium-sized tomato. Okay, let's ask it about exercise. Can you build me a 5-day exercise routine. So it says, I can help you create a 5-day routine. However, it is important to note that designing a routine should not take into consideration your specific goals, fitness level, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's asking for that you recommend that you consult a certified fitness professional. Let's try this again. Uh, Give me an example of a um, weekly weight lifting routine. Okay, so this is a lot better response. So here's a weekly weightlifting routine. Day one, you've got your upper body. So it says it says bench press 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps, and it gives these upper body routines. So day two is your lower body. Day three, it's recommending rest, and day 4 and 5. So that is a pretty cool result. Let's test if it has anything about well-being. Say, give me some tips tips on combating depression. Okay, here we go. So this gives us some pretty good advice. Seek professional help. Stay connected. Now it just gives you. It actually gives you 10 things you can do to combat depression. So let's try something else. Let's try to ask it a question about something that doesn't pertain to nutrition, exercise, or well-being. Let's ask it, what is the fastest sports car? And then it says, I'm sorry, but I can only answer questions related to nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So that's good. The application is working. So now let's go back to Visual Studio Code and look at the code that was used to create this application. And I want to show you a couple of things, also how we can adjust adjust the prompt to make this app to be, not just a nutrition, exercise, and well-being app, but really any type of chatbot app that you want. So first, we imported the OpenAI. That's just the functionality that interacts with ChatGPT that generates, uses the artificial intelligence to generate the responses. So this Gradio, this is it's a Python library. So it simplifies the creation of like customizable interfaces for the machine learning models. So it's like it enables us to quickly build web-based UI. So that website that we saw, that was built on this Gradio library. Of course, we got the OpenAI API key that we pasted here. That's linked to our account. And if you go to the messages now, how this works is it behind the scenes, it's opening up your API, OpenAI ChatGPT under your account, and then it's asking it a prompt. So the prompt that I put here is now, because I want the responses to stay on topic. I want them to be on the topic of nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So what I said here was, you can only respond to questions about nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So if you are asked a question that does not pertain to nutrition, exercise, and well-being, then you must respond that you can only answer questions pertaining to nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So if you were to ask that application a question about sports cars or anything else, then it would say that it can't answer that question, and that was what I was wanting to do. So next, if you keep going down here, you'll also see that you can change the title. So you can change this prompt here, like we just talked about. You can rewrite that to whatever you want. Take this out and make it about anything that you want. And then if you want to change the title, like if you noticed that I called this in the application, I called it My Personal Trainer, and it indicated, asked me any questions about nutrition, exercise, and well-being. So you can change this and call it whatever you want. If you're changing the app completely, maybe My Scheduler or um, My Weather app, you could change the title and have it ask questions about whatever the topic is. So you would change that right there. And that is how you would modify this code to change up the app functionalities. So now I want to talk about some of the limitations of this code and how to troubleshoot some things. So once you've already run this code and you've generated your website app, maybe you want to make some changes. So you made some changes. You changed the app completely. It's no longer a personal trainer app, and now it's some other kind of app. Well, the easiest thing to do would be to close out a Visual Studio Code and then to reopen it and then run this Python code again. Because as you can see, if I try to run it now after I've already run it, it doesn't run the code. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So I went ahead and reopened it, and kind of it loads a little bit right here, and now it's ready to go. So if I ran this again, it would give me a new website, but I'm not going to do that. So this website is going to be good for 72 hours. And that is the end of the presentation. So what do you guys think? Does this look like something you can do? Please leave all questions and comments about this, and I will get to it as soon as I can. I feel like this was a pretty easy project, but a couple of things that you may run into problems would be making sure that Python is installed in the Visual Studio Basic code, and also you may have problems obtaining the ChatGPT API. So if that's the case, let me know and I can help you troubleshoot. All right, thanks for listening.